Welcome to the Family Law Frontline.
Welcome back to the Family Law Frontline with Fedor Kozlov. Fedor is the founding partner and chief litigator at the law office of Fedor Kozlov, PC. With over a decade of experience in Illinois family law, he handles high-stakes cases involving custody, property division, domestic violence, and reproductive rights. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and today Fedor is going to walk us through what happens when a child refuses visitation. Fedor, welcome back.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to see you again.
You too. So since we last talked, has anything? What's going on in the world? What's going on with you? Anything new to report?
Yeah, I have a very quick update, which I think is a very interesting case. It involves children. It involves international law, and a lot of people ask me, if what is international law? Does it exist? Well, there is this thing. It's called Hague Convention that kind of unites a lot of countries, with exceptions of a few, that recognizes the laws of a different state, and only not recognizes the laws of a different state. It also has to enforce those laws of a different state or different country. In my case, it's United States and Russian Federation. Unfortunately, Russian Federation is not a part of Hague Convention. And what I wanted to talk to you about really briefly, I present a client, the father. He was never married to the mother of the children. And mother is from Russia, father is from United States. She went back to Russia, left the kids there, and stated that the father is not their biological father. As a lot of us know that the way to prove that you are biological parent of a child, you can either put your name on the birth certificate, it can be acknowledgement by the other side, or we go through court. So the mother denied all those three options. The father never signed the birth certificate. And what is going on right now is the big jurisdictional question. The court in the United States just ruled, the court in Waukegan, Illinois, just ruled that the United States has jurisdiction over the children, even though the children right now physically in Russian Federation, children were born here in the United States. Therefore, jurisdiction is here in the United States. The mother was ordered to bring the children back to United States. She refused. She flew jurisdiction, and now there is a warrant for her arrest.
Wow.
So it's a big deal. We don't know what will be next step, because really, as you can imagine, to enforce the warrant for the arrest in Russian Federation is next to impossible. However, there are other means for enforcement, but one of the things that the court did establish, and it's very important, outside of Hague Convention, children that were born in United States, the court will have jurisdiction.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, very intense case, very interesting case, very exciting case. And we'll see how it's going to develop. And I'm sure we'll talk about it later on. And we'll talk about, the rights to appeal certain cases and things like that. But this is some groundwork for future cases going forward.
Yeah,
and in that case, children, two daughters, very beautiful daughters, they always express their love towards the father. There's a child representative, GAL, was appointed to them, and they spoke to GAL, and they said that they only knew one father in their life, and they want to be with the father. Unfortunately, right now, mothers will sort of prevent them from seeing the father.
Wow. Yeah, definitely want to keep up on that with you going forward. Very interesting stuff. Well, today we're going to talk about whether or not a child can refuse visitation in Illinois. And Fedor, I'll start here. Do you see that often, where a child refuses visitation? And what does that first call from a worried parent usually sound like?
I do. Unfortunately, I do see this a lot. At times, it breaks my heart, just because uh, we spoke about it a few times. The child doesn't really have a voice,
Mhm.
and a child mind can be manipulated. Uh, Depends on age, gender, depends on surroundings where the child goes to school and things like that. I have a case right now that is pending in McHenry County, Illinois, where there are three children. There is a father, mother, the husband and wife. They married. We're going through the divorce, and the marriage is about 14 years, and the children they sort of they grown up in terms of they're not small kids, so they're 12, 10, and 7. The mother moved out from the household. She lives right now with her parents, and the father wants to see the children. According to the mother, who is, uh, by the way, my client, she says that the children do not want to see uh, the father. It's very difficult for me professionally handle cases like that. First of all, I represent the mother, so my duties are towards the mother. But at the same time, I'm an officer of the court, and I have to be honest and truthful to everyone. The children, of course, like in all of those situations, they have their own attorney, a guardian ad litem. There is a very good attorney on the other side, and the children, according to the mother, do not want to see the father. They create pictures or draw pictures with subjects where they express themselves, and they sort of demonstrate their dislike towards the father. And there are a lot of other instances that I cannot really discuss right now because the case is ongoing, where the children express their desire not to see the father. Well, these cases are very, very difficult um, for many reasons. One of them, listen, I'm not there. I have no idea what's going on. I can only listen to my client. On one hand, on the other hand, of course, there is a different opinion from the father. We have a law in Illinois uh, that's called alienation of a child. It's a very serious allegation, and it's a very serious. Um, I want to say crime, but it's not a crime. We're in civil, division, but it's something that may involve serious penalties. What is alienation of a child? Alienation of a child is when one parent uh, influences the mind of a child or children in a way that the child becomes alienated from the other parent. The
Mhm.
child hates the other parent. The child cries, doesn't want to see the other parent. Another example I can give you, again, going through the divorce, representing the mother, that case is over. There's one daughter between the parties. She's about 9 years of age, and there was a domestic dispute between the parents. And in accordance with the order of protection that mom filed, the exchange of the minor child for the visitation purposes has to be placed at the police department. Well, what happened was the mom would bring the child to the police department. She would leave the child there. The father would show up, and the child would cry and would not go to the father's car and would refuse to accept father's presence and would refuse to go with the father. Uh, in those cases, the guardian ad litem or the judges, for them, it's a red flag that
Mhm.
something's going on. And it's always been the rule that it's a burden of the parent that has most custody. In those two examples that I gave you, it's the mother. It was the mother. So the burden is on that parent, the mother, to do everything she can do in her power to make sure that the child does not hate the other side, who's the father. So the mother has to encourage the child to go and see the father, because despite their differences, remember, everything has to be done in the best interest of the child. And that's why parents go through classes on how to behave during the divorce, after the divorce, that they have to remember that despite their differences, everything has to be done in the best interest of the child. And when the parents forget about it, and worse, when they use the child for, to punish sort of the other side, make the other side miserable, that's what makes it very difficult. So what the judges and guardian items do in this cases, they order what's called reunification therapy. So, if you ask me, and when I see cases like that, and in the case that I'm handling right now, that's exactly what happened. The judge and the guardian ad litem, they recommended reunification therapy. What is this for the child that's not a stranger in his life? You have so many different people now that you see, all these lawyers, all these guardian ad litems and judges, and now you have to see another person who's a therapist, has a professional license in children's psychiatry, and that process takes a very long period of time. Not to mention, it's very expensive. That's why contested divorces like that, when people fight over custody and children's rights, they always more expensive than you simply have to divide property and things like that. And so it's going to take time, because for the therapist, they would have to first do their evaluation. What's going on in the household, what's going on in the child's mind. And remember that sometimes you see instances being on both sides of the spectrum, when parents say, well, my child doesn't like him, or my child doesn't like her. And then when you go and you talk to the child, or the therapist is talking to the child, or guardian ad litem talking to the child, sometimes we have these conversations with children in judges' chambers. You can see fairly quickly if that child was coached. So if a child, answering questions, trying to look sideways, looking for the parent that, to have his or her approval, that's one of the signs. Yeah. Then if a child says, mom told me, or my father told me, something like that, when they refer to the other parent, or sometime a grandparent, that's another sign of a child being coached. And then children, that's the beauty of the children, that's the beauty of the child's mind. They're very honest. I heard from someone the other day who specializes and practices in child psychology. She said to me that when you see that a child starts lying or telling you something that is not true, that indicates a development in the child's mind in terms of a plus. So we would think about that when the child lies, like, did you do homework, right? And the child says, yes, I did, but he didn't. Well, the fact that he created this lie, and then he would find an excuse for it or explanation in the child's mind, it's the next step as the child's brain development.
Interesting.
It's
not going to make me any happier when my kid lies about whether he brushed his teeth or not. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but that's obviously the next step for the parent is to teach the child that you cannot lie. But the lies, if you think about it, and I thought about it a lot, we teach our children how to do things, but we never teach them usually, all right? We never teach them how to lie. A child understands that he or she can trick their parent or lie at school by themselves.
Hmm.
So this is something that is created in their mind while they, of course, observe the world around them, and when they understand that they can do this or that. So, but despite that, usually, especially before the teenage, children do not lie. So the children can be coached. So if we go back to my example, and you ask a child, do you like your father? And the child says, I hate my father. He's the worst person in the world. Or, do you want to go to see your dad? No, I don't. Why do you not want to go to see your dad? Because he doesn't love me, or something like that. The next question, if you ask that child the next question, such as, did somebody tell you that? Or how do you know that? The answer, 9 out of 10, will be, my grandmother told me, or my mom told me, or something like that. The child will point the finger absolutely honestly, because again, it's the concept of lying is not completely developed in the child's mind, and they will point the finger. And that's, of course, a huge indication for alienation of the child. That happens all the time. This is so unfortunate. We have a term for the mothers. We don't have a term for the fathers. For some reason, the term is helicopter mom.
Hmm.
It's a mother who would not let her child be with anybody except her, who would not let her child, she would not let her child, and I had cases like that, she would not let her child to accept presents from the father. She would not let her child to, or let the father to take the child and have a haircut uh, uh, with the child, or wear clothes that the father would give to the child. That's very unfortunate, and you cannot really fight it in the court of law. So what happens, and I saw a few decisions like that, when a judge would say that the this abuse, sort of this alienation of a child, went too far, and it cannot be recovered. You cannot have a remedy for this, because the child is at the point that he will not accept the father or the mother. And what the judge usually does, the judge would say, it's in the best interest of the child that the mother would have the full custody of the child, full decision making for the child, because the child's mind is so poisoned at this time that you cannot remedy it. And it's not in the best interest for the child to continue with reunification therapy. It's not in the best interest of the child even to see the father. But the judge at the same time will impose monetary penalties on the mother, that is, which are not dischargeable in the court of bankruptcy. So the penalties depends on the level of alienation, and if it's determined that the child's mind is so poisoned that it's useless to even revisit the issue in 3 years or 5 years. I've seen the judges penalizing the other parent for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, including the law firms, by the way, who would support the other side's position. Because, like I said,
Hmm.
we're all officers of the court, and we have to maintain candor with the other side, the court, and everybody else. And that's the only remedy, that the court has in situations like that. You cannot make this family whole anymore. You cannot rescue this child, but you can impose monetary sanctions on the other side for uh, pretty much destroying this family and destroying this child's life.
Yeah.
This sanction is not going to be. They're not dischargeable in bankruptcy. they're going to stay with you forever. And I don't know how people collect, so I was never involved in that kind of process, but it's a very serious issue. That's why I said at the very beginning, I'm almost saying it's a crime. It's not a crime, but you ultimately you can be jailed if you're not paying this money, or if you try to avoid this judgment. It's called indirect civil contempt of the court, and you can spend some time in jail for violating it. So
Yeah.
that's my big answer to your question.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some heavy stuff for sure. It's sad as well, that things come to that. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Family Law Frontline. If you're facing custody or visitation challenges, visit lawyer-il.com to connect with Fedor Kozlov and his team. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We got lots more great stuff coming your way. Fedor, it's always great chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.